Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeks From The Multiverse. We got a great episode for you. We're going to be getting Schwifty up in here. I'm just kidding. We're not going to get Schwifty. That's gross. But we do have a great episode talking about Rick and Morty. That's right. We're going to be talking Rick and Morty and Mr. Poopy Pants and whatever else. Poopy Butthole. You know, all these other characters. It's going to be a great episode, so stay tuned. You know, I only thought of Mr. Poopy Butthole after I said Mr. Poopy Pants, which is so weird because I was like, I knew what the stupid character's name was.
Well, when you said it, I was just looking at you like
Mr.
what?
Poopy Pants. Well,
I was looking at you like, you dumb fuck. I know you know the show. Like, what do you mean you don't know who Mr. Poopy Pants is? Like, you know, or Poopy Butthole. It's like, again, it is what it is. But anyways,
yeah.
I know you got something to talk about, man. I feel like there's something here.
Yeah, you know, I do have a poem to read to everybody. You know, it's a very deep and sensitive poem.
You know, I before you go on, I feel like this is going to be something that is going to be the most epic thing that I would say GFTM, I can't even speak, man. I'm sorry. If GFTM can actually speak tonight, that'd be great. No, I feel like this is going to be something that you're going to be doing. And, you know, for years, we're going to be talking about, you know, that's just how deep this poem is going to be, you know?
It's got some great wording in it, you know.
Well, I mean, I guess just take it away, Matt.
All right. So here we go. Oh, yeah. You got to get Schwifty. You got to get Schwifty in here. It's time to get Schwifty. Uh-oh. You got to get Schwifty. Oh, yeah. Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the floor.
I can't. Go.
Time to get Schwifty in here. Gotta shit on the floor. I'm Mr. Bulldops. I'm Mr. Bulldops. Take a shit on the floor. Take off your pants and your panties. It's time to get Schwifty in here. New song, Schwifty. Double X. Schwifty song coming at ya. Here's the Schwifty. Hey, take your pants off. It's Schwifty time today.
You know, I really couldn't take you seriously. I was sitting there like, please, for the love of God, just end the goddamn poem. Okay, if you didn't know what that was, guys, yes, that was, I guess.
That was not a poem.
That was not a poem. That is the actual lyrics to the song Schwifty that Rick actually does with Morty at the time and like one of the planets that he's on. But anyways.
Giant head.
Oh, God. But anyways, with Rick and Morty, Matt, you know, I remember, you know, a while back, because I said I watched this pretty much from the beginning, you know, and I started watching it, and I think it was like, I was already on like season 5 or 6 at the time, and you were like, I haven't even seen Rick and Morty. Like, you were kind of late to the game on the show at first, because you were like, I didn't really watch it or do anything with it, you know, and it was one of those shows that it's got its own twist to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch a lot of animated TV shows, you know, just to be honest. Like, most of the stuff that I watch is live action, like either TV shows or movies. You know, here and there, maybe I'll watch, you know, Family Guy or Bob's Burgers or, you know, stuff like that. But I've seen Rick and Morty, you know, on streaming, and it looks interesting. And I've seen clips of it, and it's kind of like, yeah, it'd be fun to watch. But I always go back to the things that like I'm already watching. Like, I never just took the time to actually click on it and watch it. But then once I did, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like,
well, it's just funny. It's a unique take because, like, you know, believe it or not, guys, I mean, kind of our inspiration for even our logo and, you know, kind of like, you know, like geek kind of culture that we're talking about. I mean,
on the whole multiverse, interdimensional stuff like that.
This was a big inspiration because, like, that was the thing at the time is, like, I know Matt, when he, you know, started watching, it was around the time when we were just starting the podcast, and it was like, he's like, oh, wait, this would be great. And he does the logo. And then after a little while, he realizes that part of the logo that we had, or literally the background, sorry, let me rephrase that, actually was a Rick and Morty scene.
Which they show. They show it for like a 0.3 millisecond in the show. But it is, it is technically in Rick and Morty.
Which, God forbid that if we ever got copyrighted or like literally sued for, copy infringement, then yeah, that would have been a bad day. No, but like it was just interesting because like if you look at the style, or really the font that we have is Schwifty. That's actually the font style, and so it's relating to what Matt was just saying in his poem. Or his rendition of a song that was already basically in the show. But anyways, guys, no, with Rick and Morty, it's an interesting take on, you got Futurama, you got, Simpsons, you got American Dad, you got basically kind of like all the shows that you're seeing from like even now, Family Guy as well. Like, that same raunchy style of like, a little different. Again, it's like a, family of what is it? So it's, it's Rick, Morty, I know it's mom, dad, and it's sister basically, but I can't remember.
Jerry, Beth, and Summer.
And Summer, right?
Morty is
the son, and then Rick is the grandfather. But like, they're all basically, kind of doing their own thing. And really, Rick and Morty are doing the most adventures. But like later on in the seasons, they all kind of partake in all these weird, crazy adventures. Especially Jerry. Jerry gets crazy with some of those adventures that with Rick. And Summer will occasionally kind of join in on the fun a little bit, but then. It's weird. Like you'll see Beth too, like finding out that she's got a clone of herself. Yeah. And it was, again,
it was a little bit more badass than she is.
Yeah. And it was also weird because like technically the original Rick and Morty are technically dead, and they have this like alternate version of themselves that they're basically,
it's like the Council of Ricks and the Council of Mortys.
And it's like, it's so crazy. It's like, honestly, it's like trying to watch, it's like the X-Men series and try to like figure out exactly where they are, at that time. Like, because they do pop back and forth in time, and they keep trying to figure out like who's the original Rick and who's like the clone and, all these different alternate ones. And it's just, it gets so intertwined and you're just like, well, where the hell is everybody? And you're like, I don't know. I guess I'm just watching it for what it is, But
and one of the other inspirations too, beyond like The Simpsons and Futurama and South Park and Family Guy, those animated shows is, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Doctor Who were kind of big inspirations for a lot of, I guess, like the adventures and the, being the Doctor Who.
Yeah, kind of going back in time or depending on the different dimensions or things like that.
Yeah.
I can see that, especially in probably more than, I would say, the newer stuff, maybe not the old Doctor Who in a sense. But, with Rick and Morty, though, it's, I don't know why, and I'm going to say this randomly. I know we're going to go into some characters too, but what's his name? Squanchy?
Squanchy.
This character, I'm telling you, I don't know why I just randomly
alcoholic party cat.
He is probably one of the most interesting ones besides, I think it's like Birdman or the
Bird Person.
Bird Person, there you go. Like, Squanchy always goes like, hey, you ready to get squanched? Like, let's get squanched, guys. And he just like says it just like that. And then he's just like, all right, let's squanch it up, baby. And it's weird. He just does random shit. It kind of reminds me of basically Rick in a cat form. Like, that's literally what it would be. And then Birdman, or Bird Person, sorry, is like, one of Rick's like oldest friends, and he's very monotone, very like, he's kind of badass in some ways, but it's just like, he's just like, hey, how you doing, guys? It's just like, I can't even describe, I can't even really do his voice, but like when you look at the show, it's kind of like you're looking at him and it's kind of like that awkward guy in the corner, kind of, talking to you and just like, he's there, but he's like, whatever. Okay. How are you doing? And he's just kind of more introverted, I would say.
And he's, from what I can tell from doing the research, he's based on a Buck Rogers character named Hawk.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Oh, of course he is.
Gearhead, which is Revolio Clockberg Jr.
Oh God, I know. Like some of these characters, man.
So he is a gear person, which is like the.
It's like I know it's a species of people.
Species of people.
And
yeah,
literally,
so he's a robot-looking gear person.
Literally, his head is basically what looks like, it literally looks like a clock, and it's just his mouth is a gear kind of like rotating in his mouth. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
But what's funny is like, he is a friend or, I guess an associate of Rick, but Rick never remembers his name. That's why he calls him Gearhead.
It's just like, hey, what's up, Carl? My name's Rick. Or I don't know, just like, or like, actually my name's Bob or whatever. And you're like, no, your name's Jimmy. And you're like, no, but bro, my name's Bob. Like, get it right. He's just doing the same thing. And because again, Rick's always drunk. He can't remember half the time of whatever he's doing, and like the next thing, Mr. Meeseeks.
I think everybody needs a Meeseeks box.
So it's funny about this box because I know when it first was introduced, he was like, I think he was talking to Jerry, and Jerry was like, man, I really want to learn how to play golf. And then it was like, everyone else wanted to do something and they wanted to learn a skill. And so he's like, okay, let me get you something. And so he brings out this box and he pushes this button. He's like, hi, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, and he's, he jumps out. He's a blue guy. He's got, orange hair. And like, he's like, okay, I'm ready to, he's like, tell me what I need to do or whatever. And he's like, okay, I want you to teach me how to play golf. He's like, okay. And he like does it, so the thing is about Mr. Meeseeks in this episode is like, everyone's wanting to learn something. So like, if that Mr. Meeseeks doesn't know what to do, he presses the button and he's like, okay, hi, I'm Mr. Meeseeks. And it just keeps going and going and going. And it gets to the point where you're like, you have like hundreds of Mr. Meeseeks and he's like, you're sitting around. He's like, well, what are you supposed to do? Well, I'm supposed to help this guy. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to, they're all fighting each other and they basically pretty much end up killing each other because they don't know which one needed to do what in that moment.
Right, because in the episode, I believe they were trying to teach Jerry how to play golf.
Right, play golf.
And then the original Mr. Meeseeks wasn't helping Jerry to, effectively make him better at golf.
Right, and then so he asked another Mr. Meeseeks.
So he gets another Mr. Meeseeks out of the box to help him help Jerry. And that doesn't help. So the second one gets a third one to help him to help the other one. So it creates this and the thing with the Mr. Meeseeks is their whole design, and this is what Rick explains, is
right.
They're only made for like simple tasks. So if like I needed, help with doing laundry or going grocery shopping, I would push the button, hi, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, and be like, hey, can you do my laundry? And then the thing would go and do my laundry. And then as soon as the task was finished, it would disappear and go away.
But is the other piece to this too. You have to make it as simple as possible.
As simple as possible. If they can't complete the task, then they go mad and they go crazy.
And then they start asking Mr. Meeseeks for help, basically.
And what they end up doing is they end up just killing and
exactly, like
going nuts, and that's exactly what ends up happening.
And I think,
don't they create those the robot dogs?
Yeah, well, that was the thing though. It's like, every one of them is like, trying to figure it out. It's like, I've been here for so freaking long. And like one of them looks like it's old. And he's only been in there for like 2 hours or something like that. And it was just weird because like you see them like literally like go insane. They start literally pulling out guns and they're just like shooting up the place. Jerry's like, holy shit. And he's like trying to hide and trying to like crawl around. And he's just like, what did I do? And he's like, Rick, come here. He's trying to get his help, but like Rick's like, you're on your own, pal. And he's just like, they're all doing, like I said, Rick is doing something else with Morty at this time. Well, I believe it's Jerry, Beth, and Summer that were asking Mr. Meeseeks. I can't remember what Beth and Summer wanted, but I know the golf thing was like a really important part because that was the first thing that happened. But I know we're kind of carried away with Mr. Meeseeks because you're right. I mean, if I had a Mr. Meeseeks, I would definitely be like, hey, bro, I need about a few of you to do my laundry. Maybe, cook some dinner, do some other, change my change Wyatt's diaper. I could name a whole list of shit. I could be like, I need you to do my homework for me. I could keep going on and on and on and be like, all right, cool. But I agree. Like it's, if you make it as simple as possible, you're like, it's great. If you make it so hard, now you're like, well, shit, I don't know how, cause that's what's going to happen. If you say, hey, I need you to teach me how to play golf. Well, that was your first mistake. You should have said, hey, I need you to show me the perfect swing or like show me how to, swing a golf ball. Maybe start with that and then work your way up. But like, no, Jerry's mistake was, hey, show me how to play golf. And you're like, well, dumbass, you're going to have about 50 other Meeseeks right now about to kill each other because they don't know how to play golf because that one doesn't know how to play. And then the other one doesn't know how to play either. But anyways, I know we're good.
So this says Summer had called a Mr. Meeseeks to help her with a chili recipe.
Oh, see, and that's what I'm saying.
And then accidentally tasks another Meeseeks to bring them on a journey to find the meaning to life.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Which is the worst mistake you could have done.
Which obviously is not a task that can be
done by a Mr. Meeseeks, especially in that moment. Like,
right.
You know, like I said, I mean, there's just characters in the show, like Mr. Meeseeks is just a prime example of like, you know, how could we make our lives easier? Granted, we all would be lazy and we'd all have Mr. Meeseeks just like telling us, or just basically telling him like, hey, I just need you to do everything for me while I just sit on the couch and watch Rick and Morty. You know, and so actually, see, I never knew Gene Gilligan, or I never knew about that, the Smith's next door neighbor. I don't remember him.
He was the next door neighbor, and I know Morty used to yell at him all the time.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Maybe I have to rewatch some of the beginning, but I don't remember Gene particularly, or at least the next door neighbor. But
I all I know is like he would kind of like he stole Jerry's rake or something.
Oh, so okay, it's gonna sound stupid. It's kind of like Timmy Turner. Or like the Fairly Odd Parents, and it's like Dingleberg, you know. I don't know. I know it's kind of stupid for me to say it, but like that's just what it reminds me of. It's like that, like, oh, you stole my rake. Oh, I got to go over there and take it back. I don't know, something stupid, but yeah. So Mr. Nimbus, though, I do remember him because Rick was, I think in this episode it was like, you know, Mr. Nimbus comes out of nowhere. He kind of reminds me of like a, you know, Namor the Submariner kind of a dude, you know, like coming out of the ocean. He's like, oh, I'm king of the, you know, of Atlantis and, you know, this and that, you know, ruler of, you know, the ocean and whatnot. And he says he's Rick's nemesis, but then Rick basically just says, no, you're not. He's like, I got so many. He's like, what do you mean? You're my arch nemesis? Like, he's like, dude, I got like 15 other like dudes that were wanting to kill me right now. And he was like getting so pissed. Because I think they had a contract or something like that that basically stated that, you know, it was him, that he was his only nemesis. And he was like, I'm not signing it. I think I don't remember if that was what it was exactly what the contract stated, because they were trying to like, I think he was like, I can't remember the episode now. I'm trying to remember because like he came up because I guess, oh, that's right. Because he was in the ocean, because he landed from outer space and he landed in the ocean. And then basically Nimbus was like, how dare you, you know, like basically setting foot in the ocean. And he was like, oh, great, here we go. You know, that's how the beginning of the episode starts. But like, there really wasn't much after that because I only see, like, you only see him like once, maybe twice.
Right. And I know like in the episode, he does control the police, like I guess among other things. But
right.
He does, he does control the police. He is resistant to a lot of Rick's technology.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's an okay character. I mean, it wasn't like he's like memorable in a sense. I mean, if he's only around for like maybe one or two episodes here and there, you know, it's just kind of like a quick cameo kind of a deal, really. I mean, that's really what he was. It wasn't like he was like a Squanchy, you know, or like, you know, somebody like that who's been coming back. Oh, yeah, Scary Terry.
Scary Terry, that one was... When I saw Scary Terry, I was like, "Are you serious? Like they're really doing a parody of Freddy Krueger right now?"
Well, and what's funny,
he had full swords on his fingertips.
Yeah, because I remember he was like, "My name's Scary Terry, bitch," you know, and it was the same thing as what Freddy Krueger would say too. And it was funny because, you know, it was the same style, same everything, you know. But of course they did it, and he's like, "I'm Scary Terry, bitch," and he just keeps running around the same thing, and you're just like. Really? Like, you couldn't have thought anything better, but the Scary Terry, you know?
Yeah, but I think what was interesting about Scary Terry, and he was only really an honorable mention in the list, because, you know, there are so many characters within the show that we could mention, but Scary Terry, for me, is just one of those ones that I noticed, and I was like, oh, that one's got to be, I got to mention Scary Terry. But, you know, like, Freddy Krueger was murdered, and somehow with dream demons, he has kind of taken over the dream world, whereas Scary Terry lives in the dream. Like the dream world is his dimension. Like that's
No, right.
his species of people live in the dream world.
No, I know. And like basically like anytime I think was it Jerry? Not Jerry. Was it Morty at first that was introduced to Scary Terry, or was it Rick at first?
I think they both were. Well, I know that the one scene that I saw was both of them kind of running away from him, and he's like running with the
like a Scary Terry bitch, and he's just no. Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about, every other character. I mean, but really, when you look at the main two characters, right? When you look at Morty and Rick, okay?
He's so stupid. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
He's like so stupid looking. He's got, instead of like red and green, it's like teal and green.
I don't, it literally a very probably worse off parody of Freddy Krueger in a sense.
Blue and green striped sweater, gray slacks, a fedora, and gloves with small swords on the fingers. Sharp teeth, deformed purple skin, cat-like eyes, yellow sclera, and a monobrow.
Yeah, like I said, it is probably the worst rendition of Freddy Krueger.
He's known for saying bitch at the end of almost every
sentence. He said,
yeah.
He's like, I'm Scary Terry, bitch,
Rick aptly describes him as a legally safe knockoff of an 80s horror character with miniature swords for fingers instead of knives.
I can't, did I not? And that's what I'm saying. Every time he would say something, he's like, I'm going to fuck you up, bitch, or something stupid like that. It would just be like a really quick, kind of one-liner that he would say. And then it was just like, boom, he would just like come after you.
I never actually knew this from the episode, but one of the trivia things on this like Rick and Morty fandom thing says, the set of balls that hang from his chin could very well be a reference to the Balchinian, an alien from the movie Men in Black 2. And when I looked at him, he does look like he has bald chin.
No, actually, I think you're right because it's been a while.
When Scary Terry kills someone in their dreams, they're forced to wake up. This is a direct contrast to Freddy Krueger, who die in their sleep.
See, I'm just telling you, that's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Yeah.
No, of course. But, going into basically, like I said, the two main characters, right? When you're looking at Morty and you're looking at Rick. So the first time when you see him, you're going to think Back to the Future. That's exactly what I think that was part of what they were also kind of describing a little bit, that these two would basically kind of be like an offset of, Back to the Future, being, Doc being basically Rick, and then Marty McFly, being, Morty in a sense. And I think that's kind of what their original concept was.
From what I was looking up too, I mean, part of the, Rick Sanchez character was, yes, Emmett Brown from Back to the Future, but it was also, very interestingly enough, part of Marvel's Reed Richards was part of the inspiration too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a weird...
Hey, I don't know what the segue is for that, but...
No, I get it. I'm just saying, I don't understand how Reed Richards would be coming into play, especially with Rick. Personally, because I'm looking at this.
I think it's probably just the, the inventor, the brain.
Well, okay, maybe the inventor part, sure. But like, if you're, I was going to say like the hair, like, no, that's all Doc, man.
Oh no, the whole character is
besides being drunk,
Doc Brown. But yeah. I mean, I could see the inventor side and the smarts of Reed Richards. But I mean, being, Reed Richards being, Mr. Fantastic, who's kind of stretchy and, no, not that side of Reed Richards, but the smart side of Reed Richards. Yes.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, in that moment, like, no, I just don't see, the Reed Richards that I would think of, in like Fantastic Four, or even just think in general. That just doesn't make, I don't know. Maybe, sure, whatever. That's whatever you guys want. It's whatever Justin Roiland wants, because that's his creation and his baby, but.
Well, he got fired, so.
Well, I mean, we don't want to talk about, we'll talk about that later.
We'll get to that towards the end.
Morty, right? So like, he's like, oh, geez, Rick, like,
oh, geez.
He's just like,
it's literally Marty McFly. I mean, it's that like, that whining, that whininess. It's like the, being easily distressed. Like
you're right. He's like, oh, geez. Like, okay, what do I do, Rick? It's like, but at first he's kind of naive, right? So I think that's the thing that we need to establish. Like, he's very naive at first, when he's
naive, like he's easily distressed, but he's also good natured.
Yeah, but
he wants to do good, but he's like.
But then I would say later on, like he basically tells Rick, he's like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like I'm like, even though I'm your technically sidekick, he kind of makes it a forefront of like saying, "Hey, I understand that a lot of the shit that we're doing, it doesn't make any sense." But he's like,
well, it's because most of the time I think Rick gets into, Rick and Morty both get into these situations where,
Rick
starts this thing and then it goes terrible. And then Morty's like, no, we need to finish this and make it better.
Right.
Let's fucking go. Let's go, guys.
Whoa, did you just say let's fucking go? That's a new one.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking no, but you're right. I mean, Morty kind of like he's kind of like the yin and yang, right? So he's kind of like that good balance between, Rory. I don't know why I just said that. So like Rick, kind of being like the the bad influence in a sense,
I don't know, Rick.
I don't know, Rick. I don't think that's a good idea, Rick. Oh, geez. Like I just, that's the thing. And then, when you look at Rick, it's like, dude, like literally the most raunchiest, like he's a savage. Okay. Like even for his old age, in a sense, like half the shit that he does, man, it's like, you never would have think that, what was it? I don't even know why I'm thinking about this, but like, didn't he go to he went to a world literally full of toilets or something like that. It was the most randomest thing, but he was like, oh man, this is like this is like my me time. And then all of a sudden everyone just like shows up and he's like, no, this is my peaceful. Like he literally, I think in that moment, like in that world, he basically, everyone was going into his like toilet and he found out he was so savage. Okay. Cause he had that one toilet that he was actually tracking the person that took a shit in his toilet, and it took the whole entire episode to finally kill him. And he's like, he basically kills him, and then he goes right back to it. And he's like, oh, this feels nice. I just killed a guy, like whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
It was so savage. I was like, dude, I was like, you really? You had the audacity to be like, okay, somebody took a shit in his toilet. Like now I'm going to go track a dude, kill him. And it takes all episode. And then he goes right back to it. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to finish my shit now. I'm like, most random as shit like you'd ever think about, like, like even taking on like the Rick Council, by himself with technically Morty, and all that shit. Like half the shit, like I'm like, how do you survive half this shit? Like I don't even understand.
I mean, they've gone to so many different places. Like this site is like, Screen Rant, but I'm kind of like looking through. They have like some of these ones. They went to. They went to a greasy grandma world.
When the hell was this?
Somewhere in season 1. It's somewhere in season 1. Close Rick counters of the Rick kind. That's the name of the episode. He's taken to the council of Ricks and put on trial for murder. The dimension is literally just grease and a bunch of random grandmas. There's nothing else on the planet. No wildlife, no plants, just greasy grandmas.
I can't. I really can't. I don't understand. Like some of the shit that they come up with. Like I don't like it. Even it's weird. Even like the interdimensional TV channels that they have. Like some of the time that they're watching their shit, it's like the most randomest shit you can ever think of.
Oh, and they go to the pawn shop planet. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like the whole planet, it's just one pawn shop, and then they end up buying Rick that sex bot.
But really?
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch this, man. I feel like I'm missing out because I don't remember that at all. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, they went there looking for, I think, something for like the ship, or they're looking for a defraculator, whatever the hell that is. And then Morty sees like this like robot, and he goes, "No, that's a sex bot. You don't want that." And Morty talks him into buying this,
right, like, because Morty then has sex with the sex. Oh yeah, okay, I remember
and
now.
And then I think the robot is pregnant or something.
Yes, that's right. And then he actually he becomes a dad, and then I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I think they got rid of the kid, or I don't know if she like takes off or whatever. And it's like, It was the most. You're right. It was. I do remember that now, and it was the most randomest shit. Like I'm telling you, every episode, it's never just the same. It is literally like you watch it and you're like, it's the most randomest shit they walk into sometimes, especially in the beginning.
Oh, and Morty always wants to go to Boob World.
Not surprised, especially him being a teenager. I mean, shit, he's what, like 15, 16 at this point?
I mean,
no offense, I'd probably go to Boob World too. I would probably be joining him. But so here's the thing that I also find interesting, kind of real quick, is a lot of the pop culture references.
Yes, I actually watched a video and got all these. So
I mean,
and there's probably more than this.
No, but like
these are just kind of the main ones that I saw in this video.
No, but I just find it interesting. Like, you know, when you look at, okay, so for example, you see Saw, Animal Farm. Animal Farm?
Yeah, there was a clip of an Animal Farm reference in there.
Oh, okay. And then you got Inception, Alien, of course, Star Wars. Well, that's a no fucking brainer. Avengers, Endgame, Battlestar Galactica.
So Star Wars, the very first one, because I saw two of them at least, but the very first one was when Rick had got Morty the lightsaber for Christmas.
Oh, I
don't know if you remember that episode, but you know, there's also, you know, within that, there's a Fruit Ninja reference where he's throwing fruit at Morty and Morty's like chopping the fruit, like he's slicing the fruit as as Rick is throwing it to him.
Huh.
And then, you know, Rick walks up to him and is like, strike me. And Morty's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like,
that's just not who I am.
I'm not doing that. He's like, no, it's literally, strike me. And Morty like does, and like he literally disappears. And then Rick is like behind the car, literally like butt naked, and you can see like his junk like
dangling off basically.
But it's pixelated, but like it's weird animation because like they pixelate it, but they put it in the cartoon. Like somebody drew it and then pixelated it.
No, but it's just like I said, it's.
But then they fight over the lightsaber, and like literally the lightsaber goes blade down and is sinking into the earth, and that's what the whole episode is about. This lightsaber is going blade down into the core of the earth and is about to blow the earth up. So they have to like drill into, they basically get this like vehicle that drills into the earth so they can try to catch the lightsaber as it's coming down.
I gotta remember what episode that is because, geez, it's been a while since I watched it, so I don't even remember that one, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised. It's just like I don't even know why I'm like randomly saying this too, but like I'm actually surprised we never talked about Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick. He became Leg Rick too.
Well, he did, and then he was like Pickle Rick. Like so. Really, it was just funny because like when you look at Pickle Rick, I mean, yes, it is literally Rick as just a pickle, but then what he does is. He basically takes, if I'm not mistaken, rat parts, like anatomy parts, and starts developing, like he has his arms, his legs. He starts it's like the muscles. I don't know if like the muscles were like a piece of meat or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was like he started like evolving into, basically like a full on like, I mean, I guess like not really a human, but like. Just like an able body, like in a sense, because like he was just a rolling pickle. Yeah. Well, he was a rolling pickle at first, and then he started like adding stuff to himself, and it was like I said, it was a really weird kind of scenario like he was in, but like he became a pickle and just decided to like beat the shit out of. I'm pretty sure it was rats that he was like going after or something. I don't know. I can't remember the exact. Episode in particular, but like I do know like he was, I believe fighting rats and doing, other things as well. But, again, the shenanigans that, really Rick does, versus Morty, Morty does like some stupid shit from time to time, but like Rick is like, he's like your royal fuck up, man. Like every episode, like it almost feels like Morty has to like, he's like, oh, geez, Rick, now we got to get out of like this whole planet that's like, about to blow up. And Rick's like, oh, don't worry. Here's my, portal gun. and then like they go back and everything's fine. But it's like, you could have done that in the fucking beginning, but no, you had to fucking like do all this shit that was, causing all the bullshit to basically, I mean, granted, we wouldn't have a show if that was the case, but like, it was just like, Rick's always causing more bullshit, and like Morty's just like, what the fuck, Rick? Like, why am I doing this every time? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out.
Sometimes he almost reminds me of like Rocket Raccoon, like how he, Rocket always wants like somebody's eye or like leg or
yeah. He's always collecting shit.
But, like Rick is always like trying to like collect shit on different like dimension planets or wherever they are. Like he just goes there to collect something.
I mean,
and then that's where like the weird shit always happens. And
I know it was one of the newer ones, but I know Morty, I think it was one of the newer episodes, but basically he went through like a portal, and it was weird. It was like the civilization that he was just like, I think it was like somebody's farm or something like that, and he would just collect shit from like every so often. He just like keep grabbing. Oh no, it was Mr. I'm pretty sure it was with Mr. Nimbus. It was the wine. That's what it was, and he kept collecting the wine. And he would try to go back and he would grab it from like this one place. And then like every time he'd go back, it was like a generation comes. And after like so many generations, they were like trying to find the one that, kept doing all this shit. And then they finally find Morty. And he's like, he's stuck in basically this world where, for generations, they've been wanting to kill Morty because of the wine that he's been taking from this one, So it was like a dumb shit like that where Morty's just like, well, I'm just told by Rick to do whatever. And Rick's like, oh, fuck, here we go. What did you do now? And he's like, oh, fuck. Now I got to help, Morty get back to whatever he was doing because he's like, I got to, get this wine or whatever. And now, it's the dumb shit like that where Rick's like, hey, do what I say. And then he's like, oh, fuck, now I got to go, help Morty because he's basically doing what I say. And then, Morty's just like, well, what the fuck? I mean, I don't... Like, I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and now you're trying to save me every single second of, every single time that they're doing shit. It's like, like I said, Rick, I'm like, Rick, be a man, do it your own fucking self, and you get your grandson out of this fucking bullshit, okay? Like, leave him alone, all right? He's only like 15. He's naive.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Battlestar Galactica was in one of them. Mad Max, Stand By Me. That one was, I think, more Morty than it was Rick because it was like different Mortys. Avatar, that one, the scene that I saw, like Jerry fell in love with this alien chick with 3 boobs.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, she's got 3 of something, and you know what they are. Obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street. That's Scary Terry. Minecraft, they're using like VR headsets, and they literally look like Minecraft characters.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Star Trek, Community. It's really referenced. It's not really like it's kind of like a joke. It's not really like they're doing a bit from. Most of these, like when you're doing Star Wars or Alien. Like there's an actual bit that they're doing, like the background or something like that they're doing. But with the Community reference, it's more of like the joke that Rick is doing in that particular scene is based on like he's talking about the show. Like he's making fun of the show.
No, yeah. Oh, I know what you mean.
Fruit Ninja, I just talked about that one. That one was with the Star Wars reference. Zardoz, I had to look this one up.
I don't even know what the hell it is.
1974 sci-fi movie. And this one was from a particular episode with like a big stone head. And in the episode, like there were these like little, I don't even know what they are, but they're like mechanical orbs that were, it was like stuck
flying around or something.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it was a 1974 sci-fi movie, and if you look it up, that same exact head from the movie was animated for Rick and Morty. It's weird. David Cronenberg, he's like a writer, producer, director. But but he did a lot of like bloody horror, infection, like bodily transformation type movies and TV shows. So there's, a few episodes where they show like the post-apocalyptic world is one of them, where they go to and like all the people, I think it was like a love potion or something, where Morty falls in love with somebody and then
they got all jealous of like, I love Morty, and you're like, the mailman loves Morty, and like, so on and so forth.
So she like everybody gets infected and then they turn into these like weird, like gross looking like slug things. Like,
was it a mantis? I thought it was
no, they were just like disgusting looking things, but that was a David Cronenberg
kind of thing.
Thing. And then Cloud Atlas was when they were actually watching their interdimensional TV, and I think they were watching Jerry on like David Letterman or something, or one of the Jimmy Fallon,
Oh yeah. Yep.
And they're, Rick is, just surfing through the channels, and then they stop on Cloud Atlas, which is actually a real movie, but in the TV show, Jerry was the actor in this,
right, in the rendition,
in that rendition, and he's just saying like, it doesn't really even make sense what he's saying in that, but it's just cool references. I mean, like I said, there's probably, the ones I reread, there's probably like at least 100 more. I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere in there's like RoboCop. I'm sure there's like, I know in particular, like Iron Man, like there were a few where there was like, I don't know the episode in particular, but I know there's one that I remember where both Rick and Morty put on like these suits, like pretty much like Iron Man suits, and we're, kind of doing that same thing.
Okay. I mean, and then, creator of the show originally,
Justin
Roiland. So this man, for who he was or who he is, he's still alive. He's not dead. He created a great show, but apparently he was accused of, if I'm not mistaken here, domestic violence. And yes, it was also false imprisonment. So originally, like, he was arrested for domestic violence in that sense. But then, of course, this was back in January 2020. So, of course, right before COVID happened, and then 3 years later, it's like, we dropped it because there was no actual, evidence of it.
There's a lack of evidence. So at the end of March, the charges were dropped. However, though, in January of 2023, Adult Swim, who actually runs the show, they own the show. They don't run the show, but they own the show. In January, they fired him from the show and announced that Harmon and Roiland were the creators of the show.
Right.
And Harmon would be the sole showrunner, and it would continue without him. And so for a lot of us that are fans, I heard that news and I was like, oh, well, that's it. Rick and Morty's done. Like, Justin Roiland did the voices of not just Rick and Morty, but he did a lot of like the random voices too. Like,
I'm pretty sure Squanchy and like a few others too.
Yeah, he did a lot of like other random voices. So it's like, if you don't have a Rick or a Morty voice, like, you're done. Like,
right. And then who are you going to do? And then, like, how are you going to make it sound, similar to what they were?
So then I think probably around March, they announced that they were going to recast with basically, I think it was either February or early March. They said that initially they weren't going to recast it. They were going to try to use AI.
Look at that.
And then they announced that they were going to recast with voice actors that were sound-alikes. So they were going to actually do a casting call for people to audition who were exactly like copies of Justin Roiland's voice.
See, I'm not, so like so think about it like this, right? So when you look at like, I know it's kind of like a little topic here, but like, when you look at like Looney Tunes, right? And you look at like Bugs Bunny, Mel Blanc was the original voice actor for, a lot of the Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah.
Down the road, of course, now they had to recast because, of course, he died, and then now they had to keep doing that, and they have to keep doing, each of the voices, or even like, look at Disney, right? And you look at like some of the voices for like Goofy and like, some of those people that have now done it for multiple years, and they have to get it exactly like. I'm not saying you couldn't do that. It's very hard, especially that quickly, to try to find somebody that quickly.
Well, they have done it because they already did season 8.
Well, no, yeah, I get it. But I feel like, does it, because I haven't watched all of season 8. I haven't even really started it, but I guess.
To be honest, you can't tell.
Okay, well, that's good. Because at first, I would be like, well, is there like a slight difference? Is there like.
I mean, I haven't gone, I haven't done a comparison between the old and the new, but when I've listened to, I've watched all the episodes in season 8, and I couldn't tell you if there were really any difference. But no, I get it. Like if you hire, different voice actors, no matter who they are, it's not just them sounding like, Justin Roiland. It's, he has a certain timing, he has a certain cadence, and it's like sometimes you can match the skill, sure, but sometimes natural ability and natural timing, you can't copy that.
Well, that's what I was saying about like I was saying about Looney Tunes and stuff like that. I mean, you can have as close as you can because like technically each person that's doing it, right? So like even if you look at like Joker and so forth, right? Each person that does it had their own take on it, right? So like they had their own version of it in a sense. You can get as close as you want, but there's like, it's almost like a signature, with their voice and stuff like that. That's where I was saying where, if you can get as close as you can, that's great. But like if there's like a slight, let's say pronunciation or like, the way they say certain things is like, maybe it's like an octave down or like just by a smidge, like you can hear some of the differences between, let's say season 1 of like Justin Roiland doing it versus let's say these new guys that are now doing it.
Well, that's like where I think it's different too. Because I mean, you're not talking like a character like the Joker that has like a particular way that they're like talking and laughing. You do have like Rick, who's just kind of like, oh, come on, Morty. Like we it's just that like kind of gritty, like, and obviously Morty's just.
Oh, geez, right. He's very high pitched.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of like finding those voices, but it is that like timing of, having the right timing, having the right, cadence. And I mean, obviously in voice acting, they'll do lines over and over and over and over again until they get the right take.
No, right.
So, but I mean, like I said, I think season 8, like I couldn't really tell the difference whether or not, Roiland was doing it or not doing it.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. If we had to keep doing it over and over and over and over again to the point where we're like, dude, this is our best take it for our podcast, I'd probably want to shoot myself because, doing it like one take like we're doing now. I mean, I can only imagine what, like I said, voice actors do, man. It's a tough gig.
I can tell you, if I was getting paid what voice actors get paid, I would sit there as long as they need me to.
Oh no! I get what you're saying. No, I get that. I'm just saying that I'm saying for a podcast, unless we're getting paid.
No. I mean, that would be.
Then I'm like, well, no, I don't want to sit here all damn night and be like, all right, let's get the perfect take. But
so I want to take it way back because one, I mean, Rick and Morty, it did first air in 2013, and the show actually was developed in 2006.
Interesting. I did not know.
So, Harmon and Roiland worked for Channel 101.
In California.
They created a webisode called The Real Animated Adventures of Doc and Marty, which Marty is spelled MHARTI. Mahari.
Got it.
So this was an animated short parodying of Doc Brown and Marty McFly, obviously from Back to the Future. In the short, Harmon would dub a bastardization, a pornographic vandalization, in which Doc Smith urges Marty to perform oral sex on him in order to go back in time. Imagine that.
I feel like I gotta see this because I'm a little confused on why they wanted to do that for a webisode in particular.
And then, if that wasn't enough,
let's get it even better.
Adult Swim later on wanted to develop a new show, and the shorts were developed into Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty.
Oh, I thought it was Rick and Morty. Like, you know.
I have Marty in the brain.
No, it's okay.
But like I haven't seen I don't even know if like you can see these original.
Oh, it would be
shorts,
interesting to see it.
To know that like these were the original versions of what Rick and Morty are.
I mean, okay, but first off, I mean, the fact that they literally just said that Rick was asking.
He urges Marty to perform.
Yeah, urges. Okay, it was basically saying, you better do it, in a sense. Like, it was saying, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to give me a blowjob, basically. And it's like, that's a little fucking creepy and weird at the same time. And you're going to do this in an animated short, technically?
So I know that was kind of like the first one, and after this one they did make more of the shorts.
No, I know, but
episode, but that's where Rick and Morty really got their start.
I just can't believe the very first episode.
But they weren't a half an hour either, so they were probably much shorter.
No, I get that, but the fact that that was the first idea that they had to come up with. So we're saying Rick's just saying. Urging Marty in this case, put it in my mouth, or put it
in your mouth.
Put it in your mouth. Yeah, like it's weird. I mean,
it's. When I first read that, I was like, what?
What? Listen, I understand we're explicit, but goddamn, that's like above that.
And then the second question, after I read it. Because, I mean, it says that he urges Marty to perform. But the second question, John, that came into my brain, and I don't know why. Did he?
Right, in order to go back in time?
I really don't want to ask the question, but at the same time,
you're like,
I don't know why they were. It says that they went back in time, so they must have went forward in time.
I guess.
How did they get forward in time? Why do they have to get back? So did
it happen?
I don't know.
There you go. I mean, no, you do question it because it's like,
I mean,
did he actually do it? Like,
if the situation was, dire, and you're like, there's, maybe they're in Jurassic Park and there's dinosaurs coming and they're going to be eating you. You'd be like, you gotta suck this.
You gotta suck my dick. You gotta go long dick style on this. And that's how we gotta go back in time. You're like, hold on, you gotta suck my dick to go back in time, baby. And you're like,
if you don't suck this thing, we're gonna die.
We're gonna die, boy. Like, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, it was one of those things that, when you look at how they developed the show, you're just thinking to yourself, how the hell did you come up with this idea? And why did you come up with this idea? Because I would probably ask Roiland and be like, listen, man, why did you think that was a great idea for your first technical webisode? And then, keep moving forward. And then, of course, Adult Swim's like, we're just going to, take the same ideas in a sense, but like recreate it. I'm glad that the very first episode didn't actually introduce this idea because I would be like, oh, God, I don't remember that. And I really don't care to know.
I mean, they've done some pretty fucked up stuff in the show, though.
No, I know. But that's weird because now you're asking your grandson to basically suck on this dick. Like, that's what it would be saying.
I don't think in the original short that they were related.
I mean, clearly it would probably be.
So I think when Adult Swim came in and wanted to develop the new show, I think they wanted to make it more of like a.
I was going to say, don't say it was family friendly, because this show is not family.
They didn't want to make it family friendly, but they wanted to have it like be a surrounding a family unit.
No, I understand. I just thought it was, because if you said it was family friendly, I'd be like,
no, because they were. I mean, obviously they were parodies of Doc Brown and Marty McFly. So if they were doing that, then
no, I mean, yes, and that would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that piece. But yeah, no, I mean, I was going to say, guys, when you start watching this show, if you do, I mean, it's up to you. Just take it with a grain of salt, because you really don't know what the fuck you're going to watch in each episode. It really is it's a great, I mean, if you like that stupid, funny, raunchy kind of show, this is a great show. It's kind of like, if you watch I mean, I don't know which one's worse. I mean, because you watch Simpsons or Family Guy,
if you're looking for a story, you're not going to find it.
No, because
if you're just, you're really watching the show just for the enjoyment of like what Rick and Morty are doing, not so much for sometimes there is a story like Rick is going after like Rick Prime and whatever, but I mean, there's not really so much of a story. Like, it's just like a fun show to watch, and I wouldn't watch it with the kids around, but.
No, I mean, I would definitely, it'd be like, if you're watching Family Guy or something like that, if you would be careful about watching certain things with your kids around, but like this one is like, I wouldn't say like The Boys, in a sense of like.
Oh no, it's definitely not as bad as The Boys.
Not as bad as The Boys, but it's
at that same level, I would say, as South Park.
South Park, sometimes I would say even Family Guy, like, maybe some like, actually, I was going to say, I think The Simpsons is more friggin' family friendly, like in a sense, versus like this show. Yeah. But like, and that's saying a lot, because that's been around for a hell of a lot longer than the show. But I mean, like, the show is, it's our, I wouldn't say our greatest inspiration, but it has helped us, kind of to grow as a podcast, because it was kind of like that weird, kind of weird style that they did, because like I said, they created their own font in a sense. To really make the show the way it is. And, we kind of, got inspired by that same.
We stole it.
No, we didn't steal it. No, we can't steal it. We can listen. You even told me this, and we talked about this.
The font's free. So
exactly. Yeah. You can't technically steal it, because you can't copyright a font. That's just plain and simple. So like if everyone's going to use friggin' sans serif or, Helvetica or Times New Roman, it's like, you can't, font is a font. That is what it is. Now, a logo, that's different. But, like that's why we didn't want to use.
Yeah, the background was a different story. But yeah, yeah.
But anyways, guys, no, like I said, if you want to watch it, go for it. If not, it's whatever. We're just, we're just two dudes, two different mics. We're just hanging out, talking about some stupid shit, just like this. But anyways, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We want to make sure that you, hit that follow button, share it out to your buddies, your homies. If you got a poor 40, you know what I mean? Just listen to the podcast, bro. I mean, like I said, I love Jeff's Corner, but, I'd like to have a fan corner at some point.
I do want to give a shout out to a few of my haunt buddies, because a few of the guys that I haunt with, one in particular is the assistant manager of the house that I'm in.
Okay. All right.
Riley. So
Riley,
a couple
Riley. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
A couple of those guys, have started listening to the podcast. So, hopefully they catch this episode. So I'm giving you guys a little shout out and a little bit of a challenge. Reach out to us, send us a message.
Yeah,
because we would love to, read what you send us. Hopefully it's it's appropriate, but we would love to, read what you got on one of our episodes. And
yeah, I mean, like I said, I love reading Jeff's stuff, but we
need other people.
We need other people, man. I don't want to keep reading what Jeff has to say. No offense, Jeff, because you're my cousin and all, but I just want to make sure that people, we share the love. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, until next time,
stay geeky.